an easy mistake. So I don't know. It's hard to say. It really depends on the character, and like there's some Rekkas out there that you can do back and like punch, or in the middle you do back and punch, and then you'll do like Kurosoko forward. So it depends on like the utility of the character at the end of the day, more than the input.
Yeah, because I think in the case of like Rekkas, Under Night had a good idea. There's a lot of them that are just forward or back. But sometimes it happens that in a fighting game, you do Corsic forward light, and on block, you're supposed to do like the back input, and on hit, you're supposed to do Corsic forward input. And in those games, it's like ruthless.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, I had to decide one, like ahead of time. I don't know, I can't input on reaction there. But on something like Under Night, you can, because you can literally do the Corsic forward, go, I just block back.
I mean, it's weird to say, because like think about how many people just gave up on Iori because they weren't able to do the other two, to do the full Rekkas, and then they're unsafe. So I don't know.
And they can no longer play their favorite character because even though they have a cool character in the roster that they like, it has a mechanic they can't perform.
Yeah. So I don't.
It kind of feels gatekeepy at the end of the day for me. I also just think it makes Rekkas like harder to design from the fighting game designer perspective. Because do you make the Rekka have a lot of hits in? Well, then it's safe on block on accident. So that you have more time to input the move. And it's like, no, you have to make sure that it's kind of unsafe. Especially later on in the Rekka. But to make sure it's unsafe, you have to make it have very little stun, which means you have a very small window to input the move. You know what I mean? Like, it's naturally annoying. And that's a case where you legitimately are, if you count for human inputs, it's going to take them 6 frames or something to input their next Corsic forward, probably even more than that. And if you count for that, you're like, damn, this has to have like at least 18 frames of stun or something. But if you make it too good, some characters, it has a old fighting group. And some older fighting games, you can do like the first over and over.
I can't. Huh? No, because I didn't clean up the cards.
Okay. I found a saddle. Yeah, I was just curious on your point on that, because I think that's a good topic that usually, like, along the line of most people agree usually.
Yeah, I think, like, if you want like really difficult input, I mean, those games already exist for those, like, Hokuto no Ken and some of the old Final Fight and Final Bout games, I think, have some really odd inputs. So those games exist, and I think nowadays there's just too many games and too many genres to like ask that of people. Back then that was also a different time. Like everybody was playing fighting games, so I would say a lot of people. But now, there's more people probably playing, but they're also playing different games. So it would be like, I'm gonna use an example, but like if Metal Gear Solid was like had some crazy like QCE like crazy grabs, and the inputs were like 360s with, what I mean, like it just took these like fighting games, like there's a reason you don't do that, because it's hard, but they're still not easy to do, but it just depends, I guess, on the genre, who's playing it. You have to know your audience and who's it for. So
I think making things tight timing-wise is fine as long as the input itself is performed, which is where I think, like, a good example of this is, imagine you have a fighting game character, and you can perform a counter with them, right? Like, we'll say Geese. And you make Geese have to input double quarter circle back to do his counter.
Yeah.
Or you make him press back and button and he does his counter.
Yeah,
it's both of those instances, you can create that version of the game, but on the double quarter circle back version of Geese, that counter's going to come out faster, that counter's probably going to have to last longer.
Yeah,
but on the back end of Geese, it probably is like a 4-frame window for his counter, because it's easy input.
Geese is like, the perfect example of like, if you made Geese's inputs easier to do, he would just be a better character. More people would use him, because you'd just be like hitting 1 or 2 buttons to do the counter. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So
I think if you made his counter more strict it'd be fine. Like if his counter was only like a 3-frame window,
Yeah.
I'd be down with it being hacking up. Because it's then you're just skilled because you're able to hit a really tight time. Instead of you're skilled because you're able to input double or circle back out of block really quickly.
Yeah.
Because like, they're both skills, it's just one of them doesn't even make sense for a counter move. You don't necessarily want a counter move that requires like a crazy input before it, because it kind of defeats the point of a counter.
Yeah, I almost feel like my opinion is actually like less valuable because I play so many fighting games. So I'm usually just like, it is what it is. But like, if like, I prefer like to hear what like people who are like more casual think. But what's the fighting game that I'm friends with him too. It's really bad. He made like a really, it was supposed to be more simplified fighting game. When you don't move, you can tech throws. What's the game called? It's Fantasy Strike. So Fantasy Strike is like a good example of like a game that was trying to be more simplified. So I don't know. It's a hard thing to balance. Oh, that was GG. 243. Normal. Arcade. Normal. Sense. Record. Oh, my phone died. Oh, that's why. It's like, everybody stopped talking. It's like... Herp derp. I forgot to turn off notifications on my phone, so my phone just decided to die. Man, this is fun. All right, so that's normal mode. I guess I'll try hard. Dropping my phone. Like an idiot. 2XX. I didn't write that. Oh, you just gave me sign. I think easy mode is fair game to do. That was a decent time. Alright, we'll do hard mode and then switch games.
Off ledge. Yeah. They're like, wait, why would you be air dodging into the ledge? What? It's like, I don't know, it seems like the best place.
Yeah, shout out to Yoshio Fruitson for the follow. Hey, thanks Yoshio-san. Duck, Tekken Duck %.
That's funny.
Sorry, my phone died. It wasn't like raging.
Oh, no, that's fine.
No, but I don't know if I was saying, yeah, my opinion's like kind of invalid for your question. Because I have a like, it is what it is kind of attitude because I play so many fighting games.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I just mean for the theoretical future of fighting games, I think, like, leaning in that direction is decent. I will put my line down on Strive, though. I think the way they made Strive was just incorrect.
What do you mean?
I said this to somebody else earlier this week, but I said that if they had released Strive, it looked exactly the same visually, same story, all that stuff. But the game was more like a sequel to Exert Revelator 2. It would have been a superior video game. I did not personally feel like making the game like as they made the game actually simpler. It in fact just made the game like more ruthless indirectly. Yeah, I thought they became I'm a Strive hater.